Good morning, everybody. Welcome to the first week of the new session. This is Recovery for Life. We're going to look at a model for recovery that we're going to talk about various components to recovery, like what is recovery. We're going to talk about boundaries. We're going to talk about goals. We're going to talk about values. So if you look at your table of contents on page 2, before we start, I just want to go around the room, introduce ourselves, and then I'm going to go over the group expectations, if that's all right. And if you want, you can tell a little bit about yourself, like where you're from, what your interests are, and whatnot. My name is Clayton. I was born and raised in Cincinnati. Some of my hobbies include fishing and golf. So that's my stuff. Who wants to go next?
I'll go. I'm Julie. I'm born and raised in Cincinnati. I guess crocheting is a hobby for me.
Nice.
I'm Jeremy. I was born and raised in Cincinnati, and I like fishing.
Fishing, yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not good at it, but I love it.
Yeah.
I don't really catch that many fish, but I really do love it.
It's relaxing.
Yeah. Somebody said that's why it's called fishing and not catching.
Oh,
So
okay.
if it was catching, I'd be catching a lot of fish. I'm going to go ahead and read the group expectations for this term. If everybody could listen in. The following group rules facilitate the development of trust in the group and enable us to share our thoughts and feelings with each other. 1. Because confidentiality is essential, maintaining the confidentiality of the group is a must. What is said in group stays in group. 2. Everyone is encouraged to participate to whatever extent they feel comfortable. Everyone has the right to ask questions and the right to refuse to answer. 3. Share the responsibility for making the group work. We're all peers. We're all in the same boat in some capacity. 4. Try to accept people just as they are and avoid making judgments. 5. Give everyone an opportunity to share. 6. Give supportive attention to the person who is speaking and avoid side conversations. 7. Avoid interrupting. If we do break in, we return the conversation to the person who is speaking. 8. Arrive on time and avoid disrupting the group to the best of our ability by refraining from coming and going during group. Excessive getting up and leaving may result in the facilitator asking you to leave the class for the day. But if you've got to use the restroom at any time, or you need something or something comes up, please feel free to step out. That's not a problem. I'm not gonna get upset at that in any way, shape, or form. Number 9, leave cell phones on silent. If you do need to take an important call, please quickly and quietly step out of the room and return quietly when finished. Again, yeah, if you've got a phone call that you have to take or something comes through, you see it pop up, that's fine, I understand. Number 10, be on time to the best of your ability. Facilitators have the right to not allow you into your class if you are later than 10 minutes from the start of class time. Now, if you're a little late, I'm not gonna be too worried about it. And always, number 11, always encourage hope for others and yourself. There are no limits to one's recovery journey. Recovery is possible. So those are the group expectations. Anybody have any questions on those so far?
No.
We've all been here before and we know the drill. So if you look at your table of contents, we've got 10 components that we're going to talk about. This week we're going to talk about what is recovery. Then we're going to talk about how do you change the way you think about yourself. Lesson 3, what will you add to your life? And so on as you can look through there and we'll give you a little preview each time before we do the class. So as you can see there, we talk about boundaries, we talk about stress, we talk about goals, relapse, and finally how do we put it all together. So basically, we're going to start from the beginning. You know, what is recovery? This may be something new to some people. This may be something that you're very, very familiar with. But we're going to go ahead and talk about what recovery is defined as, and we'll go from there. Is that okay? So we start on page, well, it doesn't really have a page number, but it's page 3. What is recovery? Does anybody want to read the first section, what is recovery?
I'll read them.
All right, thank you.
What is recovery? Relief of symptoms is only the first step in treating depression or bipolar disorder. The goal of your treatment is wellness and recovery, a return to a life that is meaningful to you. Recovery happens when your illness stops getting in the way of your life. You decide what recovery means to you. Talk to your healthcare provider about what you need to reach recovery. It can also be helpful to work with a therapist, family member, or fellow support group participants to help you define your recovery. Your definition may change at different times in your life. At times, depression and bipolar may make it seem difficult to set recovery goals for yourself. It might feel almost impossible to think about the things that you hope for or care about. But goal setting is an important part of wellness. No matter where you are on your path to recovery, work on what you can when you can.
Thank you. Yeah, and this applies to more than just depression and bipolar. This pretty much applies to any mental illness, mental health issue you may be going through. So really, to me, what it boils down to at the beginning here is that we decide what recovery is to us. It's not a one-size-fits-all thing based on this model. It's a what is best for you in this situation. Does anybody have any comments on anything that they see interesting in this first section? No? Yeah, I think it's just important, that it can be helpful to have a nice team around you. So hopefully everybody has a good team around them, whether it be therapists, family members, friends. I know I've got some friends in my support group, and I've got family members in my support group, and they really help me out a lot. So if we move on to the next little section, it says setting recovery goals. And it says ask yourself some of these simple questions. What motivates me? What interests me? What would I do more if I could? What do I want? What do I care about, or what did I care about before my illness? Where do I want my life to go? What brings me joy? And what are my dreams and hopes? I think a big one for me, like when I look at these questions, I always ask myself, what brings me joy? To me, like I've said before, some of my hobbies are like golfing and fishing, but I find a lot of joy and stuff like that in spending time with family and friends, because that really helps me to center my focus on what my recovery is. Does anybody have any answers to any of these questions that...
I like fishing.
What?
I like fishing.
You like fishing? Yeah.
I like football and baseball.
Football and baseball as well? Yeah. What are some things that we cared about, or what I cared about before my illness? For me, before my illness, it was, because my illness was so long ago that it's hard for me to remember what I cared about. I mean, I cared about a lot of things, but a lot of things when I got the mental health diagnosis, those cares kind of went away, because it became, I was gonna accomplish certain things, but I thought, I can't accomplish them anymore, because I've got this illness. I'm kind of down on my luck. I'm downtrodden. Does anybody feel that way?
I do. Before my illness, I was attending school. I finished and everything. I was supposed to be a medical assistant, and I was also going to be a EMT.
Oh, nice, nice. And you got your degree? You got your
I have my
degrees?
EMTB. Yeah.
Nice. Have you utilized it yet?
No, I can't. My back and my legs.
Okay.
I can't go pick up anybody. So.
I'm sorry. But that's awesome that you got that accomplished.
Yeah.
That's a real good thing.
Holly oil painting.
Oil painting? Yeah.
Took lessons.
Took classes?
Lessons.
Lessons? Nice. What do you like? What do you kind of painting, like landscapes or?
Yeah, landscapes.
Landscapes.
That was before I went to the hospital.
Before you went to the hospital?
Yeah, I used to course with Mr. Bush
Okay.
for a year.
Yeah. So have you gotten back to that since then?
Watercolors for Jerry.
Oh, you doing watercolor for Jerry?
No.
Yeah, that's a good class. I took for me it was really fun. I took the clay and sculpture with Jerry when I first came here, and I really enjoyed that. That was,
Yeah.
I'm not a very good artist, but it was fun to just kind of see what I could mold and create, and that really, I think, getting back to those recovery goal questions, you know, that's what brought me joy. And it also talks about what are my dreams and hopes. It's okay to have big dreams and big hopes. You know, that's I think something before we got into recovery, we kind of lost sight of those. But in recovery we can regain sight of those, or we can pick up new goals and new hopes. Does anybody have any new goals that they want to focus on in the future?
I'm not at that point yet where I can.
Okay.
I mean, I have goals, but I mean, I'm not that far in the future to where I want to say, okay, I want to just get me a job and land. You know, I'm not at that point where I can commit myself to anything yet.
Yeah, I understand. That's okay. That's why we're here.
Well, I'm doing all right now with medication.
Okay, you pretty all right?
You know.
So moving along, it says it helps to start small and work up to larger goals. You might want to begin by setting one small goal for yourself at the beginning of each day. As you move forward in your recovery, look at the different areas of your life and think about your short and long-term goals. You know, short-term goals might be get out of bed at a certain time, find a household chore, or call a support group, whether it be, this is depression, and the DBSA says depression bipolar support alliance support group, but it could be any support group. It could be coming to the recovery center. It could be going to various meetings at hospitals. Like they have support groups all over the city.
I guess that is like a goal, because my goal, I mean, my thing was to not sit at the house. You know, I was just laying in bed all the time. So now I guess I am working towards something, because I'm coming to the recovery. So.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah, for me I'm a glorified couch potato. So for me, getting off the couch, you know, coming here, getting out and doing stuff was pretty integral to my recovery. Yeah.
That's all I like to do is lay down. But one time when I was stereo voices, but when they first started up, all I could do just lay down on the couch.
Oh yeah.
I couldn't be asleep.
Oh man.
So I stayed up all night. The medication, you know, I can sleep.
So you got good medication?
I got a stuff to take with her this hot once a while.
Oh, okay, yeah. Yeah, it's important finding. That's all. That can be a short-term goal, as well. You know, finding the right medications. You know, that's because I know I went through several different medications before I found a concoction, if you will, that works. Yeah, and then we've got some long-term goals, which might include get training or experience for a job, change a living situation, like finding an apartment, or build a relationship with a friend or family member. I know for me, when I was going through my lowest of lows, I hadn't seen some of my friends in a couple of years. And for me, reconnecting with friends was huge. You know, getting back out in the world and not being in my bed or in front of my TV, just dredging life. So just remember to take small steps at first. Looking at a goal such as move to a new city can be difficult to visualize and plan all at once. Ask yourself what you need to do first. What can you do now that will help you eventually reach this goal? See, I know I don't plan on moving to a new city. I'm pretty comfortable here.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah. Born and raised, it's hard for me to think of anything else.
I'm going to go out of town, right?
Yeah. I don't even travel too much, but I want to travel a little bit more, you know, do weekend trips and stuff here and there.
Yeah.
Any thoughts on short-term goals, long-term goals? Any you want to share with us, or
I like it here.
you like it here?
Yeah.
Yeah. This is a good place. Yeah, this is part of my short-term and my long-term goals, is to
Yeah.
continue to come here and facilitate classes and work on my recovery, and so that, yeah, a goal like this can be short-term and long-term. The next section talks about defining wellness. Does anybody want to read about defining wellness?
I don't know.
You don't mean it? I can read it as well.
I can't read that good.
That's okay. I'll go ahead and read.
All right.
2 goals you might start with are getting well and staying well. Start by asking yourself, what am I like when I'm feeling and doing well? What are some of the things that help me maintain or regain the quality of life that I like? What can I do to maintain my wellness daily, weekly, monthly? What early warning signs of my illness have I noticed or been told about by others? What can I do when these warning signs happen? Yeah, warning signs are very important. You know, I know that some of my warning signs when I'm feeling at a struggling point is the staying in bed all day. You know, I had moments where I was really under the covers and I didn't want to go out. I didn't do much. My obsessive compulsive disorder, you know, got worse. Like when I did do stuff, my repetitions, my compulsions were increasing and increasing, and I felt like I couldn't control it. And that's when I knew, yeah, it's kind of when I know I need to kind of refocus and get with my support group, you know, get with my doctors, get with my family members and friends, and because they can see it, they've seen it sometimes too with me, and so they can pull me aside and say, hey, we noticed this is going on. Go see your doctor. And that was a huge thing for me. Does anybody have any warning signs that are similar or different to what I'm going through?
Yeah. I don't know.
Okay. And it talks about 10 steps to accomplishing a recovery goal in this first section. 1, state as clearly as possible in a positive manner what it is you want to create in your life. And we'll talk about that more throughout the class as well as we go along in the next 10 weeks. Because it's important to be clear why you want this and how your life will be different once you achieve this goal. Understand what you have going for you to help you achieve this goal. Understand the challenges that exist. We'll talk about challenges as well in the future. Be especially aware of the negative self-talk that sabotages and undermines your attempts to succeed. I think we all, I don't want to assume, but do we all have moments of negative self-talk to where it gets in our head, though we can't do this, we can't achieve hope, we can't achieve recovery. I know for me, I have those moments. Be clear about what you need to achieve this goal in terms of skills, resources, support systems, etc. List the 3 to 5 major actions that you need to take to start moving toward this goal. Well, for me, what it makes me think of our goals, when we do our goal sheets during break week, and we do our 10-week goals, and we got, 5 actions that we plan on doing. So I think that's a good thing to have them written down, so you can go back and see what are our goals, what do we want to achieve, how are we going to achieve it. Think of ways to care for yourself as you work to achieve this goal. Self-care is important. Finding time, finding things to do that make you feel good, that help you for yourself. Because it's great to help others. Volunteering is awesome. Going to work is awesome. Spending time with friends and family is awesome. But sometimes we just need those moments where we need to do stuff for ourselves. And I know for me, for self-care, like I said, I count fishing as self-care because it's something I can do by myself. If I want to go out on the pond, on the lake, and just spend some quiet time reflecting, having an activity to do. Self-care is important. You got, pardon?
It's a pay lake.
You go to Pay Lake? Yeah.
That's catfish or something.
Yeah.
All right.
Julie, do you have anything for self-care that you like to do? Shopping. Shopping's good, yeah. I'm not much of a shopper, but yeah, everybody.
I
Yeah.
like thrift stores.
Thrift stores? Yeah. That sounds fun, yeah. I tend to be a go in and get it and get out kind of guy. That's, yeah, I'm a shopping, see, self-care it all applies to ourselves, Julie enjoys shopping, we enjoy fishing, we all have different things that we do for ourselves, and that's where recovery comes, the recovery being focused on yourself, the recovery being what we set it to be. That's where self-care can come in, as it says, recovery is whatever we set out to be, whatever we decide it to be. Think of ways, we're going to talk, care for yourself. Stay focused on what you want to create, not on the difficulties you might be having. Yeah, focus on the positive. Be easy on yourself. Have fun. Enjoy the journey. So that's key, is to really just to stay focused. Focus on the positive. I try to put out positive vibes and try to focus on positive things for me to help me in my recovery. Because like when we talk about self-care, I tend to think about 3 questions. Is it positive? Does it bring me joy? And the final question I ask is, does it help? If the self-care isn't helping, try something new. That's what I like to do. Because it took me a while to get back, like I said, not to sound like a broken record, but getting back into fishing. I hadn't fished for a long time, but I got back into fishing a couple of years ago because I wanted to add something new to my life, or something that I did when I was a kid back into this life. We're talking about what is recovery, because in Recovery for Life it's a 10-week course. It has 10 components we talk about.
Mm-hmm.
Like if you turn to your table of contents on page 2, each week we'll discuss something different.
Okay.
This week we're talking about what is recovery and what it means to us. And we just talked about recovery being what we define as recovery is all relevant to ourselves. Because we talked a little bit about self-care. Because self-care can be something that you do for yourself to help you out. Like James and I enjoy fishing. Julie enjoys shopping. Do you have any self-care that you like to practice?
Well, I like shopping too, but I want to be. Can I just think about it for a little bit?
That's fine. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. And we're going to go ahead and move on to, some of these pages aren't marked. The recovery definition and components. Does anybody want to start reading the recovery definition and components?
I'll read it.
All right, thank you.
Since the mid-1980s, a great deal has been written about the mental health recovery from the perspective of the consumer, client, family member, and mental health professional. The amount of research of the various aspects of recovery continues to grow. Early research by Courtney Harding's 1987 and others challenged the belief that severe mental illness is chronic and that stability is the best one could hope for. They discovered there are multiple outcomes associated with severe mental illness and that many people did progress beyond a state of mere stability. As such, the concept of recovery began to obtain legitimacy. Sullivan, 1997. Although there are many perceptions and definitions of recovery, William Anthony, director of Boston Center of Psychiatric Rehabilitation, seems to have developed a cornerstone definition of mental health recovery. Anthony, 1993, identifies recovery as a deep, personal, unique process of changing one's attitudes, values, feelings, goals. A deep, personal, unique process of changing one's attitudes, values, feelings, goals, skills, and or roles. It is a way of living a satisfying, hopeful, and contributing life, even with limitations caused by the illness. Recovery involves the development of new meaning and purpose in one's life as one grows beyond the catastrophic effect of the mental illness. Ultimately, because recovery is a personal and unique process, everyone with a psychotic illness develops his or her own definition of recovery. However, certain concepts or factors are common to recovery. Some of these are listed below. Hope.
Thank you. I was gonna stop.
Oh, okay.
Just right there. Yeah, getting back to the definition, deeply personal, unique process. So it really involves what we want. Nobody can define our recovery. We define our recovery.
Okay.
And that's the real key here. No one can tell you, your process is wrong. Your process isn't wrong. The process you have is the right process for you. It's not a one-size-fits-all. This is the way to do it. You must do this you must be on medication, you must be on a therapist, you must be this, you must be that. No. Whatever you define it, that is your recovery. I think that's the big thing here. And there are several, concepts or factors which we'll get into. We'll get into hope. Does anybody want to read hope?
Hope is a desired accomplishment by confident expectations. Having a sense of hope is the foundation for ongoing recovery from mental illness. Even the smallest belief that we can get better, as often as others have, can fuel the recovery process. Early in the recovery process, it is possible for a treatment provider, friend, or family member to carry hope for a consumer. At the same point, however, consumers must develop and internalize their own sense of hope.
Thank you. Hope is, that's a huge word around these parts. Hope is big. You gotta have hope. We always have hope that we can recover. You'll hear hope just tossed around all over the place here at the Recovery Center. And I think that's great, Hope is a very big factor to recovery. Because if you don't have hope, it becomes hard to really focus on recovery. Anybody have any thoughts on hope? What it might mean to them? How about medication and treatment? Does anybody want to read medication and treatment? I'll read it. While many people are frustrated by the process of finding the right medications and the side effects of medications, Most persons with a psychiatric disorder indicate that medications are critical to their success. For many, the goal is not to be medication-free, but to take the least amount necessary. Likewise, mental health consumers often report that mental health professionals and treatment programs are valuable to their recovery, especially when consumers feel they are engaged in a partnership with their treatment provider and are involved in their treatment planning. Medication. Sometimes we don't like it, but sometimes we need it. Sometimes we go through those phases of this is working for me, this isn't working for me. And like I said before, for me, finding the right medications took a while. You know, it might take a while. It might be trial and error. That part can be very frustrating. Has anybody had any frustrating, if you guys had frustrating times with trying to find the right medications?
Yeah, lots of times.
Lots of times. Do we feel like we're in a good spot where we are with our medications now?
Okay, about it. All right.
All right, yeah.
I'm still trying to decide, because I just started a new medication, so
Okay.
I'm trying to see where, if I seen a difference or not.
Yeah.
Because sometimes with new medications, you know, once you start taking, you have a awkward feeling sometimes, you know. So a lot of times I stopped taking medication because I didn't like the way it made me feel. I didn't give it enough time to get in my system to see exactly what it's going to do. So that's where I'm at now.
For me, I'm dealing with the one side effect I'm dealing with is my hands shake. You know, so you'll see my hands shake. It's not because I'm nervous or anything. It's just because I have to kind of. I'm kind of in that limbo process of should I add another medication to get rid of the shaking? What should I? I'm in that limbo process right now. Yeah.
But other than the shaking, I'm sorry.
The Haldol or something like that, maybe like that.
Yeah.
Cogen.
Yeah, I was told Cogen works to get rid of the shaking, so I'm just trying to figure out whether do I want to go on another medication.
But is it helping you in a mental state, or other than the shaking, do you think it's helping you otherwise?
My medications? Yeah, my medications are doing great. Okay. Yeah, the only thing I have is the shaking. So that's where I'm kind of been holding back. Like, well, mentally I'm good. I'm in a good spot right now. So maybe we'll address the shaking later, and later becomes another day and another day, and that just it's one of those things that eventually I'll probably do it and maybe not, you know. But it's just all about finding the right medication. Any more thoughts on medication?
Medication and the right doctor.
The right doctor, yeah, that's a good one, yeah. Yeah, because I struggle with, I don't know if you guys have struggled with, I struggle with finding the right doctor, you know. I would go to one doctor and all I would do is complain and she would give me more medication. And I'm like, this is, maybe, part of it is me, part of it is her. Something's not working out, so I had to move on. Had to go to another doctor.
Yeah, some of them don't listen. They just want to give you medication and come back next month. I'm thinking, is this about me or is this about the money?
The money, yeah.
You know, are you worried about me? And then for a while I thought it was a test on me. I was like, this, no.
I get away too many cases. They always quit.
Yeah, there's a high turnaround with case managers.
They get promoted or they quit.
Yeah.
One about every 2 years.
Yeah.
Go their own business. I had a bad situation with, and that would kind of make me leery about taking medication because one time I had a doctor that, and I don't even know the names of the medication. I was on so many medications at one time. I call them uppers and downers and all arounders. I had some to get me up, some to put me down, and something in between. But this one doctor, because, you know, we talked to him about what's going on in our life or what had happened in our life. And he said, well, I'm going to treat you just like your sister did. And when I went home that night and took that medication, and when I woke up in the middle of the night to go use the restroom, I was paralyzed from the waist down. So I stopped taking the medicine and I stopped going to the doctor. And then some years, you know, went past because everybody said, you know, you got anxiety, you need to talk to somebody. So they sent me back to the same doctor. but he wouldn't see me again because I stopped coming to him the first time.
Yeah.
But if you wake up and you can't walk,
Yeah, that's a bad thing. That's a major issue.
so now when someone prescribes me medication, I have a habit now of reading what the side effects are. And Julie had to help me with this because if the first line is said can't cause death, then I'm not going to mess with it. Because I look at the prescription, it's like when you go shopping for something at the store and the main ingredient is the first thing they put, you know, on the back of the, you know, label. So I'm thinking if it's going to cause me death, then why are they going to give me something that's going to cause me death?
Yeah.
So Julie had to break it down 6 things to me. So I'm trying to work with, you know, the medication that they prescribe to me now, but I don't have a psychiatrist or a psychologist.
Yeah.
I get prescribed through my primary care doctor.
Me too. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Because when I left my psychiatrist, I just went to primary care. So I think mine is pretty good because he's been my doctor for 20 years. So he's seen me at my low points. He's seen me at some high points. So, yeah. Thank you for sharing that. I'm so sorry to hear that.
Thank you for listening.
It's just important to have a good doctor that you really, really trust when it comes to medication.
Yeah.
Because if it doesn't work for you or it does work for you, it's important that you tell that doctor, you know, it's working for me or it's not working for me. You know, so maybe she can take you off of that one, try you on something else, or say, well, this field is not working for you, let's go to this field. Yeah, so.
Yeah, so finding the right medication, as we all know, is another important factor. Then there's empowerment, which is the belief that one has the power and control in their life, including their illness. Empowerment also involves taking responsibility for self and advocating for self and others. As consumers grow in their recovery journeys, they gain a greater sense of empowerment in their lives. So just having power, knowing you have the power to change, the power to get better is a component.
Yeah.
Anybody have thoughts on empowerment? This one's kind of a less involved one than, you know, medication and stuff. But it's just knowing that, just really knowing that we have the power to change is a factor in our recovery. You know, take the power back. You know, don't let the illness bring you down, and just try to do your best to take the power back and to use the powers you have to help you recover. Does that make sense?
But can someone think that they have control of their life, but they don't?
They can, yeah. And I think that's where some of the other parts come in, like you know, the medication, seeing the doctors. They can help see, you know, having those outside eyes can help is what I believe, what I feel. Having those outside eyes can really help to say, hey, maybe you don't have so much control. I see your character, like your support team will see your characteristics that they know what to look for. So I find that to be helpful.
Okay.
Yeah.
That makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah, so the next one does talk about support. Does anybody want to read support?
I will.
Okay.
Support. Support from peers, family, friends, and mental health professionals is essential to recovery from mental health. It is especially beneficial to have multiple sources of support. This not only reduces a consumer's sense of isolation, but also increases their activity in the community, allowing them to obtain an integral role in society. In addition to support from individuals, participation in support groups is an important tool for recovery. Consumers frequently report that being able to interact with others who understand their feelings and experience is the most important ingredient for their recovery.
Thank you for reading. Yeah, like I mentioned, having those extra sets of eyes to help see, you know, when you're veering off course and you don't really know you're veering off course, or they can pull you out of the hole like, hey, I noticed you've been isolating a lot lately. What's going on? You know, whether it's the doctor, psychiatrist, caseworker, family, friends, you know, support is huge. And like coming here, I think is really great because we're all pretty much in the same boat. We might have we have different illnesses that affect us, but we all know what the struggles can be. You know, we have each other to lean on, and I think that's really key. Does anybody have anything that they notice from support that they see helpful? Do we all have a good support team?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Family, friends.
Family.
Yeah, for me it's mostly family. A few friends. Friends.
Family don't understand too much.
Okay, yeah. That can be a struggle. That's why it's good to just pool as many resources as you can in terms of the support group, because you might have certain people that are like, I don't get it. I want to shun you.
Mm-hmm.
But it's important to find someone that says, yeah, I accept you, come on in. We're gonna help, we're gonna do this as a team. Next is education and knowledge. Does anybody want to read education and knowledge?
No.
I can read it.
Okay.
I'll read it. Yeah. In order to maximize recovery, it is important to learn as much as possible about our illnesses, medications, best treatment practices, and available resources. It's also important to learn about ourselves, including our symptoms, so that we can gain better control over our illnesses. Consumers can educate themselves by speaking with healthcare professionals, attending workshops and groups and support groups, reading books, articles and newsletters, browsing the internet, and participating in discussion groups. Yeah, this is, I think, pretty self-explanatory. You know, keep yourself informed on what's going on. Like when we look at our medications, keep ourselves informed of what the side effects may be. Go to workshops, go to classes, which is what we're all doing right now. I think that's key, because it keeps us up to date on what's going on. Because they might come up with something new, or some new strategies, some new coping skills. So it's just important to stay aware of what's going on. Does anybody go to other groups outside of the recovery center? No. Okay. But we come to the recovery center a couple days a week, right? Yeah. So this is a big one for a lot of people. Everybody's glad that everybody's here. I think I'm really glad everybody's here.
Okay, well, thank you for coming.
Let's move on to SelfHelp.
Okay.
Does anybody want to read SelfHelp?
While most consumers recognize the value of professional treatment, self-help is often viewed as a conduit to growth and recovery. Self-help can take many forms, including learning to identify symptoms and take actions to counteract them, reading and learning about illness and its treatment, learning and applying coping skills, attending support groups, and developing a support system to rely on when necessary.
Yeah, I think this really, just, to me, talks about just kind of taking control of your own needs, and to reach out to those that can help you. Yeah, self-help. You know, identifying symptoms, taking the actions. You know, because really, the main person that helps in our recovery, I think, is ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're the central focus of our team. You know, when you have a support team, it's doctors, friends, like we talk about. Not to sound like a broken record, family, all that stuff. But we're the main player. We're the main actor, main actress. We're the ones that really take control of our self-help, take control of our recovery through self-help. One we'll talk about in the future in upcoming classes. We're going to talk about spirituality, and I know that it can be a touchy subject, but when we do talk about spirituality, just make sure that we're open and non-judgmental to people's points of views. So it says here a broad definition of spirituality is that it's a partnership with one's higher power. For many consumers, spirituality provides hope, solace during their illness, peace and understanding, and a source of social support. So so some people, whether you're Christian, Muslim, Buddhist, Jewish, maybe agnostic, maybe you're like, I'm not sure, there is a higher power, maybe there isn't. I think it all plays, to some degree, something greater than ourselves is helping us. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so when we do talk of spirituality, just to be mindful of, we could all be in the same spot, we could all be in different spots. But that's also another component to the recovery process. And the final one it talks about here is employment and meaningful activity. Frequently when we meet new people, they ask, what do you do?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Around here, if you're from around here, it's like, what school did you go to? Then it's, what do you do? Whether it is fair or not, what we do shapes others' opinions of who we are. As a result, it is common for a person's identity to be significantly impacted by what they do. Likewise, what a person does influences his or her confidence, esteem, social role, values, etc. Simply put, employment and meaningful activity affords most consumers the opportunity to regain a positive identity, including a sense of purpose and value. What are some of the meaningful activities we do, whether it is self-care stuff or whether it's just stuff we do for fun? What are some of the things we do that kind of defines who we are?
I like to go out and dance.
There you go, dancing. Dancing's good. I like to go out and, like I said, golf, fish. But I like to spend time with my relatives.
I like music.
Like music?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, music's big. Yeah, I listen to music when I can. I play music. I play the bass guitar and some guitar and do some vocals and stuff. And I'm working on some poetry type things. So that kind of defines who I am. I like to define myself as a musician, an artist.
Mm-hmm.
It makes me feel good. Julie, what about you? What are some things that define you? She mentioned that before. Yeah.
I said shopping.
Yeah, shopping is good. Yeah, I like to find deals when I can. I find myself more frequently. I go to stores less and look on Amazon more because me and my mom I live with my mom and we have an Amazon account. So it's like, why go out when I can order it and they'll bring it to me in like 2 or 3 days? Yeah. So yeah, for me, like, music can define who you are. The sports, the leisure activities, the exercise, your spirituality that we talked about can define greatly who you are. Volunteer work is great. It's important to just to have meaningful activity in your life so you're not stagnant, you're not stuck inside. You're not isolating I think is the key to go out and do things is very, very important. Any thoughts on any of these components? of recovery. We'll do exercise, the best antidepressant in another class. We'll make sure I'll do my best to make sure we cover that, because that can tie into a couple of our other topics.
Okay.
But before we go, we're almost getting to the end of our time this hour. So before we go, I just want to ask, what is one thing you will do, you want to do, you plan to do this week to help in your recovery, whether it be through self-help, through self-care, through religion, through medication? What's one thing you want to do? For me, what I want to do this week, now I don't know how successful I will be, but it helps when my nephew's school is close to my house, so I can walk to get him. So for me, I'm going to take a few walks this week. That's one thing that I'm going to do this week.
Lose 1.5 pounds.
That's good. Lose 1.5 pounds?
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
I'm gonna try to, there's a couple of birthday parties I was invited to this weekend. So I'm gonna try to attend the birthday party and stay longer than it took me to get ready.
Okay. Nice. James?
I'm the one that I guess keep up on medication and stuff.
Couple medication? That's good. Yeah.
Probably go out to eat with my mother.
Go out to eat, yeah.
A little her now, I had to move out of my apartment.
You guys move out of your apartment?
Yeah, because they put I sold the buildings and stuff.
Oh, that
And you guys said what the other things there, so it's gonna make the building into a family apartment,
family care home? Yeah.
something like that.
Do you have a place to stay now?
Yeah, with my mom.
With your mom? Okay. Yeah, that's key, having a place to stay. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that was recovery. So next week we're gonna talk about, how do we change the way we think about ourselves when we're feeling down.
Mm-hmm.
So we'll cover that next week, and I thank you guys for coming this week. Hopefully we can all accomplish our goals this week: walking, losing weight, going to parties, medication. I hope you guys have a really good week, okay?
Thank you.
Thank you guys.